appreciate the opportunity provided for me to just share some thoughts with respect to where process safety fits into this whole idea of becoming greener and becoming more flexible in our operations and stuff like that. And I think on day one of this conference, I heard Dr. Ramkumar saying that really, our industry, the refining and petrochemical industry, is one where actually one of the largest investment, has been put in. So the investment for our industry is huge. And I'm sure that over the past 2 days, we've just heard of the amazing technological breakthroughs that once what we thought was insurmountable is now achievable. And while there is really increasing expectations for our industry to become greener, to decarbonize, to actually aim for net zero, I think those are all well and good. But today, I would like to turn our attention on a much sometimes forgotten, sometimes feared topic of process safety. Given the amount of investment that we put into expanding and feeding this industry to actually address the demands of the world, I think we all agree, my dear fellow esteemed colleagues that are here with us this afternoon, that really to fail is not an option. Indeed, to fail because of a process safety incident is really not an option. Hence, I think what I want to be talking today is really how, just to share some ideas and possibly some challenges on how we can all hop into this journey. I hope we're all on it towards achieving resilient process safety in all that we do, from the beginning when we start off our project until we operate it, as well as when we decommission our plant. So basically, I think, if we are not, I hope we are not immune to the story of Bhopal. It happened in 1994. While we are very thankful that another Bhopal has not happened in India or anywhere else in our region in terms of the magnitude of pain and loss that was achieved. What is really concerning, or the question that I want to pose to us today, is that, by not seeing another incident of that magnitude, have we been really good, or have we just been lucky? Because 2 decades later, what we saw was another major incident that happened, many, many kilometers away in Texas City. And despite the effects of Texas City, it was major loss of asset, there was major financial loss, loss of face even for the people at the board level. And although, there were not as many loss of life, the question that befits us today is that really, are we moving forward? Are we operating? Are we designing our plants with this sense of chronic unease that really, effort and commitment needs to be put in actually preventing another Bhopal and another Texas City? So I think we all agree that as people working in the refining and petrochem industry that we consider ourselves as working with high reliability organizations, because that is what is demanded of us. Because in order to make sure that we achieve the profitability targets, the production targets that we have, we need to be that high reliability organizations. And a lot of research have been put into defining what an HRO is. I suppose we can count ourselves privileged as being working in organizations where we have to work in situations that have potentially large-scale risk and harm. But as organizations, we can still manage to balance effectiveness, efficiency, and safety. And how do we achieve that? Is actually the ability of organizations to avoid or minimize errors through strong teamwork, awareness of potential risk, as well, which is focus on the continual improvement that we need to do in every step of our planning, of our operations, from cradle to grave, so to speak. So, what is a key feature of a high reliability organization, and I hope we all agree that actually it is one that will focus on preventing and or limiting the impacts of major accidents and process failures, so to speak. And I believe that, as expected, high reliability organizations such as the ones that we work in the industry that we are in, we do say that we prioritize process safety. But actually when the tire hits the road, I just want to ask ourselves this question. Amidst all the pressures from our stakeholders, the time pressures of getting a project online in the shortest time possible, really the concept of prioritizing process safety over all the other pressures, the competing business demands that faces us every day. Does this whole concept of achieving top-class process safety become meaningless? And it's like, what the wise King Solomon says, a chasing after the wind. And often, safety professionals often get frustrated and we get demoralized because really, we are either the most misunderstood people or we are seen as nuisance makers and budget suckers because we are just asking and we don't seem to be contributing to the profitability, the bottom line, so to speak, of our business. And I think the other question that really, a key feature of what an HRO is really the ability of these organizations to be able to learn from past accidents. It's amazing with our current, increase in digitalization, in our ability to share information. An accident can happen over the other side of the world and you would get news of it immediately. But I think the question that we need to ask ourselves as high reliability organizations is that have we or how well do we learn from these past incidents? Given that Bhopal and Texas City actually occurred 2 decades apart, it just shows me actually personally that there is still a lot of learning and we need to look at technologies or ways, of how our organizations can learn better or make those improvements, and learn lessons, and so that we will not go back to the mistakes that we made in the previous way. And another feature of a high reliability organization is that we actually have redundancy in terms, particularly in our hardware, in our plant, even our people. We have different shifts of people. We have, people, different teams of people being able to run a process. And I think what really, it was a research that I started 30 years ago when I looked into the root causes of major incidents. And that was when I worked with a UK health and safety executive, and they were scratching their head saying that, look, if 2 plants are designed the same, why is one having more incidents than the other? And why is one underperforming in terms of process safety performance? And I think, and it's becoming clearer to us now that while it is really fun to play in the technical aspects of process safety, what we really need is the combination of the socio-technical ecosystem. And discussing with my colleagues this morning, actually, we were having this debate, what is the weightage in terms of the attention that should be given to the technical side or the social side of being able to implement the technical systems that are probably not new, because process safety is a subject that has spanned a few decades. So therefore, the question that I would like to ask ourselves is really in terms of what we want to achieve in our process safety performance. What is it that will support our company in terms of, if we are good at achieving our process safety goals, then how will that contribute to growing the business demands that are before us? And I think, let me put it to you today that we are all very familiar about this as low as reasonably practicable principle. We think that, if we fall into this middle ground, then we are fine because we have done all we can, and we put up our hands and we say, right, we think we are safe because our risks are tolerable. But I think as a high reliability organization, I would like to put it to you that we should actually view process safety risk as more than just being as low as reasonably practicable. Just as there is this race to go to net zero, I think what the leadership challenge in terms of process safety is really, how do we get to zero incident? And some people said, no, that is just a wishful thinking, because if you look at the decades of systems, of procedures, of initiatives that we have put in, what we have is actually the compliance and discipline culture, that has been developed through the rigorous checking of lagging indicators such as incident rates and fatality rates. That has just caused people to just try to just follow that straight line that is drawn before them. But really, what happens when we see when there is a change of guard, when our older workforce retires and the new people come in, and when there's new technology that comes in, we start to see that plateau in our process safety performance. And worse still, what we are seeing is that we will be seeing basically and start an increase, a creeping up of unwanted incidents, and worse still, and we all heard of the Heinrich theory about many small incidents leading to a major big bang. So what I want to propose today is really, rather than focusing on to be able to achieve improved performance, to cultivate a resilient process safety culture, what we need to do is to focus on work on creating positive events, so that, the positive events will then help us to reduce the negative ones. And what do I mean by that? It actually says that, we move from just collating personal safety issues. We look at some of the positive events are, do we recognize safer actions, leadership recommended recognition, breakthrough in performance of well-being, the well-being of your people. And if we move across the spectrum to the process safety, what are the breakthrough performance improvement that we can achieve in process integrity, which actually supports our goal of really improving our bottom line. And one very key thing is really leadership vulnerability and acts of learning from the success and failures of good programs. How do we design early warning triggers that will actually give our leaders at the board level, that they will not see process safety as something that can be passed on to some technical genius, but really that they themselves can be at the forefront of leading in terms of creating positive process safety events that would help them sustain and be resilient in terms of their process safety journey. And I mean, I'm not saying that we should forget about all the negative events that we are reporting, but I think what we are seeing is that while we focus on the positive events related to improving safety and process safety, what we will see hopefully is a decrease in the number of lagging the lagging indicators that we are measuring, and we will actually be able to achieve a sustained reduction of those lagging incidents. So I think, what we need to do is that, we should continue to capitalize on the lessons learned from the past. However, we need to also think about how we can move forward and continue to mine, the opportunities to create positive events in our organizations. So for an organization to really become efficient and excellent in managing process safety, let me put this to you that investment in process safety is not a sinking cost, because when we look at the need to want to be able to achieve the process safety performance that we want, we need to look at being able to reduce the complexity in our operations, to be able to seriously respond, to low-level signals, and that is to respond at the highest level within our organization. And what I want to throw to us today is a challenge on how we can integrate. Process safety is not a slap on. Process safety is not something to be fixed outside the boardroom, but it is how do we get our leaders right at the very top level to be fixated on what is the next process safety failure that will happen, so that we can all put some positive energy into basically avoiding that incident that would cause us loss, not just in life, and we all see, the organization that ran Bhopal no longer exists today, because it is really the reputation that one should be guarding with our lives, actually, so that we will not have to be answerable to our stakeholders and to the public at large. I just want to end today by just quoting Albert Einstein. He says, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. So I want to challenge ourselves, even as we go away from this amazing 3-day conference. What is it about our thinking that we need to change with respect to incorporating and integrating process safety into all the new technologies that we are, so successfully implementing? How can we work collaboratively with our colleagues and even our competitors, right, to change this mindset so that we can achieve the results that we want, so that we can, run sustainable plants, sustainable businesses. And my colleagues and I at Grip Global, we are more than happy to connect with you. And I think, our view in terms of working with our clients is really to be able to come alongside you and help you co-create the success that you seek for achieving your business goals. Thank you.